So 2020 is going to be a bonkers year for Samsung. Not only are they going to be coming out with the second version of the Galaxy Fold, they're coming out with a clamshell foldable device, and they're also redesigning the Galaxy S11 or S20. I'm not sure what name it's going to be. I personally think they're going for the S20 just because of 2020 and a new decade, but I'm going to call it the S20 for the rest of this video. The other thing to note is that Apple is going to be redesigning the iPhone 12. And that's going to look completely different from the past few generations. Samsung has to make sure on paper their device offers every single hardware feature you can think of. They can't compete with Apple in terms of software because they're stuck with Android, which means it's an even playing field with other Android devices currently on the market. The way to beat the competition, especially when you're marketing this product, is to have every hardware feature you can advertise. There's a lot of features that made it into other phones in 2019 that didn't make it into Galaxy devices, such as a high refresh display. The funny thing is that those refresh displays were being bought from Samsung. Samsung is purposely holding it on until 2020 to include it as an extra feature in their devices. So the first thing they're going to do is change the way the phone looks. It's going to look very similar to this, but they're going to reduce the bezels even further. Right now, they're already pretty thin. I mean, like, look how close they are to the edges of the device. They're going to extend the display, shrink them on the top and bottom, the bezels at least, and give you more screen real estate. This means there's probably going to be 3 devices. Very similar to what Apple's doing with the iPhone lineup. You're going to have like a Galaxy S20, which is going to replace the S10e of the future. You're going to have a Galaxy S20 Plus, which will replace the Galaxy S10 from last year, and you're gonna have a Galaxy S20 Pro. The screen sizes will vary. They're saying anywhere from 6.2 all the way up to 6.9. You can also bet that they're gonna cram a new version of a dynamic AMOLED panel inside of here. It's gonna have HDR10 Plus and every display technology you can think of. They're also gonna move the front camera. It's no longer gonna be on the top right-hand corner of the phone. You're not gonna see 2 of them anymore. It's gonna be in the middle, just like the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So speaker positioning is gonna be the same. Like, you're gonna have the bottom firing speaker paired with the earpiece to provide stereo sound. But I think this year you're gonna see a bump up in quality. Apple's been pushing the envelope for better sounding speakers. And I think Samsung wants to make sure that their speakers are on par or even better. Battery life is going to improve as well because all these devices are getting bigger, which means they can cram bigger batteries inside. With the iPhone getting thicker, Samsung again wants to make sure they can compete on the same level. But the biggest change to these devices is coming to the camera. We're getting 5 cameras on the back of the S20. You're getting a 108 megapixel sensor, which I don't know how I feel about this. This is going to be the wide lens, but 108 megapixels means you can crop into photos and retain some of that detail. But what happens is the edges of the photo start to fall apart. So Samsung is going to have to do some serious computational photography to mitigate that. You're going to have an ultra wide lens, the telephoto lens, and because it's a 108 megapixel wide lens, you're going to be able to do optical 5x zoom. So you're going to be able to go closer than you did before. The other 2 lenses we don't know, but we think it might be a 3D depth sensor or time of flight. Now you pair all these hardware features, the 120 Hz refresh display, along with Samsung's tradition of offering crazy gimmicks. Some of them will be great, the rest of them we'll forget about after a week. You can expect 8K video recording, the Snapdragon 865 in all of the devices. The biggest one, the Pro, might even come with a 5G modem. You have Director's Cut, which is for editing video, and all these little features packed into this device. You gotta understand, when Samsung markets this smartphone, it wants to make sure on paper it has everything that the iPhone 12 has, plus more. So they can say to the consumer, well, our phone does this, plus it also does this. Now here's the most important part. Samsung needs to price the S20 accordingly. It has to come out onto the market between $650 and $700 US. It's gonna be competing with the regular iPhone 12, which will most likely be at the same price point. And let's face it, at the end of the day, most people are not gonna be buying the 11 Plus or S20 Plus and S20 Pro. they're gonna be buying the S20 because not only does the price become more attractive, it also has 95% of the features that the bigger counterparts have as well. So that wraps up my first impressions on the Galaxy S20. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I also did a collaboration video with concept creator MKBHD and John Rettinger discussing this topic. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description. Like the video if you liked it. Happy New Year. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video.